Warning, the following contains material that might be unsuitable for minors. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm talking about you, Timothy.
Video contains graphic content of incredible stupidity among 1, 2, 3, 4 not lifelong friends. Yes.
Go ahead, Becky.
Welcome, listeners, to another Sweetie Club podcast highlights. If you're new, we welcome you to our podcast. And for those of you who don't know what we do, we talk about our own reviews of good and bad movies we watch on our Discord server. I'll put links in the description below. As well as having lots of laughs and flustering the host, which is me.
You know what? I totally forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
And this week we actually have a special movie review.
Yeah.
Because it's a movie that Fours is extremely familiar with.
I have a friend who's watched it 5 times.
And
5 times.
5 times?
Yes, willingly!
Wow. And
Oh my
today's
God.
review is Joshua and the Promised Land.
Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua, that's what I said. So, Sweetie Club, care to tell our listeners what you think about the movie?
It's funny, and I would watch it every single day.
For those of you listening who haven't seen Joshua and the Promised Land and are probably thinking, what's the deal? I want you to imagine for a moment, picture in your head the Prince of Egypt, but it was made on the Nintendo 64 by the drug addict who designed the DeLorean.
Wait!
If you guys are curious about the movie, I'll put it in the descriptions below so you can watch it for yourselves if you're that curious.
Comment down below what you think about it.
Yeah, here's a question for your listeners. What do you think about the movie? If you've seen it or not, love to hear your opinion.
I don't want to hear their opinion. I would like to read what led them to making that choice with their life. What dark corners of the world did they have to devolve into in order to find it within themselves to willingly, on a whim, watch Joshua in the Promised Land?
Well, when you think about it, if you've ever seen the movie Damned, directed by James Murray, he did it because he chose between a car and making a movie, and he chose making a movie. And he didn't have a degree.
I've never seen that. What I have seen is Joshua in the Promised Land.
Maybe that was the case. They chose between a car and a movie, and they chose the movie.
I mean, I would choose the car.
I would choose
I would
the
choose
car.
the movie.
I would so choose the car. It's like a really, really bad CGI movie about animals, and I noticed that the Joshua, which is a lion, and all the other lions have no tails. They have no tails. The lip syncing is so bad. And it's just so...
The horse is going backwards.
It's just the pacing, the way they walk, just pretty much everything about that CGI movie just makes you want to be like, what? Is this the worst movie ever made? Or is there something far worse than this?
Oh, there's far worse movies. I've looked them up.
I know. Well, I could tell you what would be...
I know of at least one animated movie that is definitely worse in terms of quality and writing, and that is The Green Misty Sky, which I'm not going to go into because it is a movie that cannot even be described.
Oh God,
Unlike Joshua in the Promised Land, which I can describe perfectly with a quote from the actual movie.
Oh.
If I may.
Oh no.
No! No!
Yes.
You literally took, we have the right to use what you say against you, literally.
Well, anyone could say no. No!
No!
This movie has the right to remain unseen. Anything it says can and already has been used against it in the court of this podcast.
Oh, this podcast is a court now.
Yes, we are the judge for the movies. Yeah, if you listeners want us to review a movie, good and bad, comment in the sections below. We love to read what you've got, what twisted minds you have for bad movies.
Every comment on this movie, every positive review that gets left in the comments of Joshua and the Promised Land, every person who defends it, I'm personally gonna backtrack their IP address, go to their house, knock on their door, and spit in their face.
Wait, may I?
Huh?
I think it is a great movie because of how funny it is. I know it's not intended to be funny, but it's so.
See, that's the thing. It is. It's intended to be like this children's movie. There's intended to be actual comedy and shit that, works.
Okay, but in a children's movie.
Yeah, it's an intended biblical movie.
I've seen children's movies that have like better quality than that.
The only problem is it doesn't work.
It does not work. Not one bit.
Wait, I'm gonna pull one up right now.
Well, yeah, so the quality of the characters is like when you see like that very first, like Toy Story had that little mini movie with this creepy CGI baby. It was like the first of its kind. That movie was pretty much like that, but it was a full whole movie. That's how badly the CGI was for that movie, and it was like made,
It looks like it was made on the original RuneScape engine.
Okay,
Yeah,
I found it.
but it was made like 2012 or something.
Yeah, it looks worse than that, Arctic.
Yeah, that. Oh god, that helicopter eyes are so creepy. That reminds me of that game.
Okay, the characters is Honk the car, Toot the boat, and Swoosh the helicopter.
What the helicopter?
That helicopter, the one that's got this big
Swoosh,
creepy
wait,
eyes and that grin. That reminds me of this game called Putt Putt. It has like these creepy characters where there's this fire engine who's grinning so bigly, and he goes, "Nice to see you again, Putt Putt." And I'm like, and I'm like, holy. But I'm getting off topic. I'm getting off topic here because of the sweet.
Swoosh the helicopter.
I'm getting off topic. Getting off topic because
If I may add some dialogue to this picture, I think I know exactly what's going on in this scene.
What?
So what was the car's name?
Honk.
Honk?
What?
Well, hey there, Honk and Swoosh Swoosh. It's just me, your boat buddy, coming along, tugging on the blood ocean. Hey there, boat. Me and Swoosh Swoosh were just thinking of going over the plains of eternal suffering. Yeah, plains of eternal suffering. Yeah. Son!
Okay, but real quick though, the fact that Joshua just casually accepted to go with a floating entity to a whole nother plane of existence.
Yeah! Who the fuck does that? Like, this kid gets approached by pretty much a ghost. The fucking poltergeist demon appears in this kid's house, and he's like, "Hey there, I'm your guardian angel and your best friend."
Well, I'm gonna take you on a trip.
There's flat out a part where the guy's like, "You trust me, don't you?" And Joshua understandably says, "I don't know." Well, you trust the guy that sent me, don't you? And the only thing I'm sitting here thinking is, said the kidnapper to the missing child.
Every kidnapper at the Amber Alert.
Yeah, just that alone, you're just like.
Can I ask a very weird question?
That alone is just making you thinking of like gives you red flags. Like, nope, no.
Never show this to your kids because
I
that is
mean, there's more than just red flags. That's like a bright flashing neon sign saying "Do not enter." But you're
But-
going through that door anyways because you
Because you don't know how
trust
to
the guy
read.
that put it there.
I mean, I would. Understandably.
I
Yeah.
should also point out the fact that you've never seen, spoken to, or really even heard of this guy who also put it there. But you trust him.
Yes. Because you don't know if he's good. I understand if I should take my leave.
No. I had to stop myself before this whole thing got oddly critical of religion.
No, but I can say
Like,
I just said it to, try and be funny. But it's literally something I would do. Because as it has been proven, I cannot read.
Reading? What is that? I do not know this reading.
What's reading? And then it just gets dead quiet. Okay, time to pick this up again. Let's. Who are the creators, by the way, and where are they now?
If we knew where
So-
they are, as would probably go over to them and be like, "Why the hell did you make that movie?"
Right,
The-
Hebrews.
the creators. Creator, I should say. You'll notice in the beginning credits that 90% of the people who worked on this movie have the last name Lion. That's because Joshua in the Promised Land was made by a pastor with the last name Lion, who made, wrote, animated, produced, and voice acted everything in the movie on his own, with the help of friends and his family.
Well, then you can't really get mad at the quality.
You can. One person doing the whole entire movie.
No. Before any of you say that, that as a perfect example of how much someone can be working on their own. Have either of you heard of Killer Bean?
No, but I played Stardew
Ah,
Valley.
no! I watched that twice!
No.
Killer
Played-
Bean is a
Yes.
great animation. Killer Bean has decent quality. Quality, mind you.
There's gonna be
But
another
Killer
one.
Bean was made by one person.
I would also like to throw out the example of Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley was made by like one person because the dude didn't want to put like other people, like they didn't want to put pressure on other people to make it. So one dude, I think it was like almost a teenager then, created first version of Stardew Valley, and it was amazing. Won a bunch of awards. So I see where you're coming.
Yeah,
I
so there
played
are
it. It's
some good.
amazing.
There are some good single like movies that are done by one person, done very, very well.
Hmm.
I guess it's because like they took their time and was not rushed. I'm assuming that this guy rushed. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I'm
definitely
assuming he
say-
didn't have a degree.
It seems
Yeah.
like an almost shameless cash grab.
Yeah.
And they used religion as their main focus of it. And I just can't get behind that.
It is quite tricky making a movie that's based like biblical stuff.
I
Well,
mean, it really
that's-
isn't. If you sit in church for 12 hours, I'm pretty sure you can do it.
And that's the thing. It's not that hard to adapt a biblical story. Literally every story we have around today, most of the majorly successful ones at least, are different versions of a biblical story, at least at their core. I mean, one of the most outlandish ones I can think of, I'll describe it in biblical terms first. A small child comes to a foreign land sent by his father, who sent him there to protect him and help the people of that foreign land.
Samael?
And that kid also had really awesome abilities.
Samael.
Talking about Jesus.
Jesus did that? I'm sorry, I haven't been to church in a while.
Jesus was the Son of God. God sent him to Earth to protect, like,
To guide
basically
them
to protect and guide mankind.
Yeah, guide them.
You know who else was a child with amazing powers whose father sent him to Earth to protect them?
I haven't.
Fucking Superman!
Really?
I guess technically yes, but
I'm not a
he
fan of superheroes, so I wouldn't know.
there's a kind of similar yet different to that. Superman,
I know it'd be more accurate to compare Superman to Moses, but
Superman has powers because of the sun. Depending on what color the sun is, it can either drain him or give him different powers and such. Like a red sun, it drains his powers completely. Our
What
sun,
is a red sun?
a red sun is pretty much like
it's just a red star. We have a yellow star. Other galaxies have red stars. Some have white stars. Some have orange. We have a yellow star.
Hey, stars come in all kinds of colors.
But yeah, a red star for Superman makes him vulnerable, and actually you can kill him if.
Yeah, it makes him human because Krypton had a red sun. But my point at the core wasn't like, well, obviously when you tear them apart, it's not word for word just the story of Jesus, but like the thing is there. The example was in order to show it's very easy to adapt a biblical story into something modern and decent. It's also possible to make something of decent quality working alone. Joshua and the Promised Land did neither of these.
No. Oh, you made Josh choke.
That's right, Joshua. Your namesake is a failure.
Oh, trust me, I already know that. I take a look at myself in the mirror every single day and I think to myself,
Hi there, kids. My name is Honk the Car. I need you to look at me and my friends and determine which one of us just committed an act of great evil.
Which one of us just committed a war crime?
Animal talk too. The animal.
I got a question for you kids. Who just committed a crime against humanity and must be sent to the moon without oxygen or food?
Scenario down yet?
This is a show.
That's right, children. All of us have committed acts of great evil.
This is a show on Baby
We must all be purged. The Red Giant cannot come soon enough.
Do you think we'll ever watch that movie, The Purge?
I have.
Maybe.
But it sounds cool.
It's one of those movies where what hasn't already been said about it?
Yeah.
Sure,
I'll say something about it.
But as the movie progressed, it does become better than the first one, because the first one was quite random, but as it gets the second and third one, it gets a lot better.
See, I actually disagree. I think the first one was the best out of the entire filmography.
I mean,
because the first one actually had a decent story behind it. It showed the chaos behind the Purge.
Yeah, but, later on, they actually showed the first like origin of the purge, and
Yeah, but now here's my question. Why did we need the origin?
well, it's to pretty much show like why is like these people that have got these really weird masks on, why are they a cult, why are they going into
Okay,
people's
but
Yes, but
houses and all
again,
that
based
stuff.
on the first movie, there was never any cult, there was never any greater plan. It was just the law. It was a thing that American culture had adopted. Why
Yeah.
do we need to know why America adopted that culture? We already know the end result.
well,
Well,
and
See,
I see
if they
that-
were going to do that, they should have released the origins of it and everything first. When a
Yeah.
movie starts very strong, again, I love the first Purge. It's the best one, in my opinion. But when you start that strong and then you go back and start saying, well, this is why that first movie was so good.
yeah, but
You're not making a new movie. You're showing everyone why your first one was so good.
Well, as it's the same vein as like watching someone's birth and like they're an alcoholic and a drug addict and all that. It's seeing their birth and figure out exactly what the hell happened during and after that made them like that.
You want to know what happened? People are fucked up. Why is it the Purge? Because people are fucked up.
yeah, but
And also
Okay,
because
so
people are
can
stupid and
I-
like killing one another.
can I say something
Yeah.
about this?
What?
Okay, so basically, after research, the purge is based off of I think it was like a Greek celebration of like, oh, it's like you get 1 week to like, all the rules are broken, the courts are closed, and what a lot of people did was that they usually just partied, and there was very few murder, but
It was based off of the Greek Saturnalia, which
Yeah,
was,
Saturnalia.
like you said, basically a giant lawless party.
yeah,
But they didn't revoke the laws of thievery and murder. They revoked the laws of public drunkenness and frivolity.
right.
yeah,
And then they turned that into the purge.
I mean, you could. You couldn't just use that week as an excuse to go rape 12 people and murder 20.
Some people did.
And see,
Oh.
that's another problem a lot of people had with the Purge, like every one of them. Human psychology is not that like cut and dry, black and white.
Right.
People don't not murder just because it's against the law. People choose not to murder because murdering is fucked up.
Right.
People choose not to rape because rape is fucked up. One
I thought
night
of-
a year where there are no laws isn't going to change people's opinions that murder and rape is fucked up.
To release
You're
the
not
purge.
going to
I'm-
go out and do it just because you're not going to get punished for it now. You're not going to go out and
Right.
do it because you're going to have to fucking live with it for the rest of your life.
I mean, I've thought of murdering people before, but I haven't actually done it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't. This is going to be really hard to explain. When most people say they think of killing someone, you're not thinking of killing them. You are thinking of a scenario in which they are no longer around you. 90% of the time, you are not considering the fact that in this scenario where they're no longer around you, they're also just fucking gone. Their family will never see them again. Their loved ones will never get to speak to them again. Any unfinished
and that's the
business they
part-
had is never getting resolved. That is
Yeah.
the part that's going to hold a lot of people back from actually doing it.
Oh
I mean,
well,
yeah,
unless you're
just-
Alistair and like you just said, screw it.
Like I've had conversations, I've been in the same room, I've lived with people who could seriously look me in the eye and say, I have thought about killing this person. I have thought about it,
Same.
I have planned it out, I've written down scripts of what I'm going to tell their family when they come to me asking where this person is. Like I've talked to
I have
people
not
like
met
that.
a person that said they had a
Yeah, it
script.
isn't-
Maybe just like out of impulse and like they had something and they actually went out and kind of did it, but never.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. The only
Me
reason
personally-
sorry, just let me finish real quick. There's a point to all this, I swear. It's not just that I know a really fucked up person. The reason that person was able to do all of that was because they were a fucking sociopath. They had no empathic connections in their brain. Chemically, they had no value for human life. That is the kind of person who does the shit that they think everyone is gonna do if the purge, like, actually happened. And even then, that level of sociopathy is extreme. This is someone who was diagnosed extreme late term and didn't get any of the therapy or medication that he needed. It's such a rarity and an oddity, even in a situation like the purge, for people to actually do evil, that, like I said, you don't need to go past the first movie. The first movie is a perfect example of it. It's a small, isolated incident. This one guy is chased down by a group of sociopathic people. The guy finds shelter with a random family. These sociopaths already don't value that one life. They're not going to hold greater value to another 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's what made the first one so good. Then you get into the second and third, and like entire cities full of people just out on the streets killing mindlessly.
It's like
No,
the whole of
there
America.
is
That's not how it
no
works.
reality in which you are going to convince me that will happen.
Well, maybe in like Chicago, probably.
But
Not
like,
even Chicago.
if it's like
Again.
a yearly thing, and
It's yearly.
yeah, it's like I got like mixed reviews of the purge because it's like most of the time they're just standing out there doing nothing, and you're like, you gotta do anything? They're just standing there being creepy and such,
Like
and
the
but
only
it's
thing,
not like creepy. It's just like, you gotta do anything, or you're just gonna stand there.
And that's another thing. Like, people, again, everyone wants to say these horror stories. Well, what if the purge really happened? Well, purge really happened, it wouldn't be a horror movie. So you wouldn't have all these scary people in freaky costumes doing stuff that horror movies do. So, you know, that aspect of it is entirely fucking Hollywood crafted.
Yeah.
the only thing I could think of is like the only major crime being committed would probably be like petty theft,
Yeah.
like going into a store, taking like basically
Yeah,
Black
like,
Friday.
if the purge was real, the only thing you would see is theft. Like, people would go into stores, grab their shit, and get out.
Right.
On the
and
other hand, people need to realize that does go both ways. You don't have to follow the law, and the law doesn't have to follow the law. Which means if someone comes up to a police officer and says, hey, it's purge time, and they just robbed my store for like $8,000 worth of merchandise. Oh yeah? I have a 45 in my pocket, 9 rounds into the fucking back, and I'm not paying any repercussions for it. Take your money back, ma'am.
Well,
So
that
again,
is probably the only situation
checks and
with, like,
balance.
murder.
Checks and balances exist no matter what scenario you're talking about. In a purge situation, you would either have people committing such petty crimes that it wouldn't even fucking count as a purge, or people would be so terrified of what other people would do in retaliation that they wouldn't purge.
we are getting a
Question.
bit off topic now, so we revert
Yeah.
back to our highlight then.
Back to Joshua and the Promised Land. God, we got
God.
really off topic.
You trigger me every single time you say that. God,
Sounds like a personal problem.
sounds like something you need to stop doing, Mister.
Well, this is a review.
It is a review.
Joshua and the
A
Promised
review
Land.
specifically of Joshua and the Promised Land.
Why are these boots $199?
What?
Why are these boots made for walking? That's just what they'll do.
Oh my god. dress combat tactical.
What's wrong, Forrest? You afraid that one of these days these boots are going to walk all over you?
I'm gonna hurt you!
Come at me, Scrub Lord, I'm ripped!
Oh my.
Ah! I'll make you choke on a pizza roll.
No one
Why do
moaned.
you moan when you choke on a pizza roll?
I said I'll have him choke on a
Why
pizza roll.
was that? Why did your brain communicate a goblin screech as a moan? I feel like that's the problem we should address first.
Honestly,
You relate sounds of distress and physical anguish with the sound of physical pleasure? You have some serious problems, my friend. Problems that cannot even be addressed in a view of Joshua in the Promised Land. Ladies and gentlemen of the Sweetie Club podcast, good night!
No, we're not ending it here. We are not ending it here.
I'm not sleeping in my sleep off. Yes, me.
For your information, I do not have any problems. I am perfectly fine.
Great.
Yeah.
So
And if
back-
that doesn't make it to a highlight reel, nothing.
I'm looking
We're
for
still
Oxfords
very,
and, like-
very, 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 very unknown as.
well, we do have like about
You know-
6 subscribers.
All it takes is an episode like this to change that, so.
Well, with you yelling how much I have a problem,
Yes!
Oh my god.
I just registered something as something else. It ain't that
Sca-
bad.
hey,
It's always
scandals
represented
sell,
animals.
buddy.
Oh my fucking god.
I
The
don't
one
have-
thing our channel needs to make it big is a scandal. What better scandal than we may be holding a sexually repressed psychopath in our
Oh my
midst?
fucking god.
I am not sexually repressive, nor am I.
I was about to say, but you are a psychopath.
I am not a sociopath nor a psychopath. I
What's the difference?
swear to God, I will find you and I will smash all your plates, your
Uh,
windows, and break all your silverware.
Sociopaths. So the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath is a psychopath is incapable of like
Remorse.
telling the difference between fantasy and reality. They believe whatever they want to believe, and that will be their truth no matter what.
Basically,
A
every conspiracy
sociopath,
theorist ever. Basically,
a
every
socio, no,
Interrupt one more time.
because they're still grounded in reality. They're stupid.
No.
Sociopaths literally have no value for human life, emotion, empathy, sympathy. You know, anything. Think psychopath would be Mark Hamill's Joker, Batman the Animated Series. Sociopath would be Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight.
I see. Okay, so then I ask you this. And I want your honest answer. How would you diagnose, and I know I keep saying his name, but I've heard a lot of like actual medical people in the medical field trying to diagnose him. How do you diagnose Alistair?
How
Many people say he might be bipolar. Some people say he's a sociopath. Some people say he just has a twisted sense of like justice.
I'm
Neither. Alistair is perfectly sane and aware of what he's doing. He just doesn't care.
I'm just gonna
So what does that make him?
It doesn't make him anything. It's not that he's incapable of caring, as is shown by the fact that he's formed relationships with people.
It
He
makes him
literally
apathetic.
just, yeah, I guess
I
that
would
would be the
say it
closest
makes
word,
him-
apathetic.
Like towards his victims, not towards everyone, but specifically his victims.
And we see like he helps the
No,
sheep in the
more or less
comic.
towards everyone, because even with helping the hotel, he's not doing that because he wants to help. He's just doing it because he's bored. Alastor is a guy who has too much power to care about small shit.
Okay, but what about in the comic where he helped the sheep? And he said it because people needed more respect of the people of fairer means. How do you take that?
Honestly, I take it as someone not knowing exactly how to write an immortal godlike entity because they're trying to humanize someone who has already been illustrated as having no humanity. On the other side, it's obviously just a shorn bit of philosophy by the creator and writer of that comic, so it doesn't really matter who said it or under what context. They were gonna fit it into their comic because they wanted to make the statement.
Usually I just saw him as like someone with like twisted justice because there are people like him out there that like do things because they're bored.
Well, he doesn't do it under a sense of justice, though. He does it under a sense of you're getting in my way and you're annoying.
But doesn't everyone do that? Which
No.
means it doesn't really make him bad.
Well, that's when you get into the whole what is good and bad, and the short answer to that is they're extremely fucking difficult and convoluted. That's what they are. In actual real world situations, in real world people, you are never going to find someone wholly good or wholly bad. There's just going to be a bunch of gray area.
Right.
The only difference between calling yourself a good person and calling yourself a bad person in that sense is what you choose to do with those gray areas. No matter what, helping one person is going to make you a dickhead in the eyes of another.
Oh.
Just because that's how the world works. There's no such thing as perfect moral equality. Helping one person is always going to hurt someone else.
So Al is just like every other human being out there.
Yes and no. I was going to say, in the case of humans, we have that morality. Even though a lot of things are gray, we still have a sense of right and wrong. We know, alright, this is going to help, but I'm aware of the fact that it's going to hurt this person when I help the other one. Alastor, less in the context of how his character is being presented, again, he's a godlike entity. He's someone who shouldn't be represented as having any humanity. He basically evolved beyond it. He's not looking at it as, if I do this, it's gonna hurt someone, and I realize that. He's looking at it like, I want to do this. Why should I care how it affects it, good or bad? It's what I want to do, and no one can stop me.
Well, we do see that he has morality because, I mean, I'm gonna make this quick because I know this is off topic, but there are, from the creator, he does have morals like no hurting children. If he saw a baby left in front of his house or just abandoned, he would take it in. He just wouldn't like deem himself responsible for it. So if it got hurt, he wouldn't be responsible, but he'll help it.
And again, it's the closest comparison I can make is look at Al as Has-Been's version of Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. Yeah, at one point, both of them were entirely human and perfectly capable of feeling and sympathizing and making that moral connection. But they're both now at a point in their lives where they've attained such a point of status and such a level of physical and metaphysical power that concepts such as morality, good and bad as a whole, just don't matter to them. They're literally above considering whether or not their actions are good or bad. They're going to do whatever they deem they should do.
And if there is like, I don't know, some point in like a show or comic where he decides to show like humanity and morality, what do you say about that?
It's not him In that case, again, going back to the Dr. Manhattan, it's not so much that they're showing that compassion, it's a remnant of what they used to be. So any compassion, genuine kindness that Alastor showed isn't necessarily the Alastor we've been presented. It's whatever's left over from whoever he used.
I don't know, this is like a great analysis. I apologize.
Think of it like the reason you still say please, thank you, is because you remember being taught to say please, thank you. The reason Alastor still does good deeds is because he remembers a time where he felt like he needed to.
Hmm.
That's
That
my
gave me a
opinion
lot
of
to
it,
think about.
at least.
Literally, I just thought I didn't go that deep, and I was like, oh, he's just like someone who believes like, okay, certain people should be treated a certain way, like women should be treated with care and respect due to like the era he was from. But never like that. That gave me a new point of view on it.
Even then, Alistair's being presented as like being from the 1920s or somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Respecting women wasn't the big thing about that
I know.
time.
Which probably sets him apart from a lot, because men didn't really. They just like threw him around, like do this, and they can't
Not
go
even
out.
that. It was more so, you need to get yourself a woman because you need a wife in the home. One of those things. It wasn't, you need to find a woman that loves you and that you love and that both of you mutually respect each other so that you can spend the rest of your lives together. It's, you need to create that familial unit. It's your duty.
He didn't have a wife, which is what confuses me. He did. It was confirmed that he did have caring relations. Like he cared about certain people, and he would make them their wife, but he chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm debating if that's because he didn't want to know. He didn't want them to know who he was actually, or he just kind of pushed it aside.
It was more so probably a financial or societal. Because again, going back from the 1920s,
It
you
wasn't
didn't
very
necessarily just go out and marry someone. There was a
right.
courting process. It needed to be public. If people didn't agree with the relationship, it didn't happen. If
There were
if one
contracts.
of them was like a social pariah, it just didn't happen. Like you said, there were marriage contracts. There's a lot of societal works that need to be taken into consideration when doing any kind of analysis. The big thing that I will point out is he very much has the guys the 19, but not so much like, God, that's not even the right way to say it. How do I say it?
I don't know how to say it.
Just say it,
Yeah.
and I'll try to like break it down.
Like, he presents himself and talks like he's from 1920,
He's
but the
from-
beliefs that he holds, the way he treats people, it almost seems like he's from, say, these are 50s.
So he's a man ahead
Specifically,
of his time.
no, I was about to say, specifically German and European culture during the 40s and 50s. The way he presents himself, how proper he speaks, how he always, like, you could do this if you give me this. It's very reminiscent of the World War II Axis powers. I'm not gonna go into full-on Alice gives me slight Nazi vibes because he doesn't at all.
Right.
He does give me the feeling of someone who was maybe born in the 20s and lived through a couple different wars.
So
Someone who was maybe during his life put in such a situation just societally and interpersonally that he had to learn how to make deals and manipulate people just to get his way, just to like survive.
I mean, then again, it is New Orleans, and that's like saying New Orleans is the Bronx, because it kind of is. Like high crime rates. If you get caught, you gotta be like, okay, they want something, but I need it, so how about I give them something else, and like making deals and like stuff like that.
You didn't really see a whole
Crime-ridden.
lot of that, and I didn't know he was from Louisiana, so that's giving me entirely different opinions about it now. God, now that I know he's from Louisiana. Okay, yeah, I'll take back everything I'm saying about him. That makes a lot more sense. He's kind of just like a voodoo playboy.
Yeah. He's everyone that messes with the dark arts. He's like, oh crap, I did this, I can't get out, might as well make the best of it.
Mm.
This is a very intellectual conversation.
Yeah.
I apologize. It just had been bugging me for so long. Because I have seen whole videos and articles like diagnosing it. I did deeper research and I couldn't find anything that truly fit him.
That's alright.
That's like diagnosing Donald Trump. Like there's so many things. The only difference is that there's so many things wrong with Donald Trump. The thing with Alistair is that there's so many things happening.
Yeah, but at the same time, people can make conclusions about Donald Trump because they watched him start out as an asshole, grow up an asshole, and rule the country like an asshole. We've only seen Alistair a couple of times, and no one has seen how he started, so...
We should ask that. We should be like, how did he start out? What was his childhood? The only inference I have, and that a lot of people have, is that he grew up like everyone. Well, like most people in the 20s and in the era now. He had a mom and dad. His dad left, and he was raised by his mom, which would explain why he has certain morals towards certain types of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's like different theories about what happened in Alistair's past life.
I subscribe to the theory that his mother was Madame LaRue, the voodoo black high priestess of...
I can see that, yeah.
Mm.
I do believe his mom probably got him into that voodoo stuff.
His mom's definitely satanic.
Right.
I'd even go so far as to say he probably had to kill his mom. Might have been a ward at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories saying that he killed his mom. But there are also a lot of theories showing that he did it because he didn't want to, like... I don't know, it's so weird.
He seems too much like a mama's boy to he is too much of a mama's boy to not do it for a good reason. Like he obviously did it for a reason that he thought was right in his head.
Like saying, okay, what if someone is going after her? He doesn't want that person to kill her, so he just did it himself, type of thing.
Yeah. Any other example would have been good. I've always had a problem with the "I'll kill you to make it easier for everyone" solution. Because you know what would make it easier for everyone? You putting forth the literal exact same amount of effort and killing the person trying to kill the person that you want to kill so that you save everyone.
True.
But just kill the killer. Don't kill the victim. All you've done by killing the victim is become the killer.
But if you killed the killer, wouldn't that make you a killer as well?
Yeah, but you're a
it would
killer
make you a killer in the sense of like you protected someone. But the other thing is that there are theories.
It's the difference between Venom and being Carnage. Carnage kills people because he's evil. Venom kills people because he doesn't want them to be evil.
Well, the other thing is that there's evidence that he showed remorse
Carnage,
if he did do it, and that he can show remorse. There are a lot of people hinting to the part where this is when the bipolar theory comes in, hinting to the part where he said, my work became mundane, lacking focus, aimless, so I came to crave a new form of entertainment. Literally listing 4 of the, like, I think 8, 9 criteria.
I thought it was because
That's more along the lines of
that he's getting
ADD, ADHD than bipolar.
Yeah, I thought it was because like he's getting bored of like podcasting, like what's going on in hell because there's nothing much to do. It explains why he's going wandering out in the streets watching, as he calls it, the picture show, and he gets interested because he's like, this could be entertaining and it's a great way to amuse my boredom and to slowly but surely destroy this place and be happy with my life once again.
Okay, I found it. I'm gonna read this really quick. Read it again.
Real quick, another theory I subscribe. Actually, I'm gonna save this for after you read it. Go ahead.
Okay. So it says, Alistair may have bipolar disorder. Now, you may think I'm crazy for coming up with this, but I encourage you to read on. It explains what it is. We all know what it is, and it points out the extreme lows. As far as we know, this portion of bipolar disorder has not been exactly shown in Alistair's character. However, there is a portion where he first shows up and he explains that he started to get bored with his past work and he was looking for something new. And I quote, I've lacked inspiration for decades. My work became mundane, lacking focus, aimless. I came to crave a new form of entertainment. In this line, he basically states that he started to get bored and lost the inspiration to do anything that he was used to, which could be some form of proof towards these symptoms of unipolar depression. Feelings of hopelessness, discouragement, and lack of energy and focus. And the extreme highs,
hold up. Unipolar depression, so a singular form of depression. That's just fucking depression. Why are they trying to subcategorize it?
It's probably some fancy term. Extreme highs experienced in bipolar disorder are the same as manic episodes. Depending on how severe, people who experience this may also experience energy, being overly happy, optimistic, euphoria, and very high self-esteem. When someone experiences a full manic episode, these symptoms can reach a very dangerous extreme. They may, 1, pursue all their money into a risky business, which here they put the "so do we have a deal" part. Behaving recklessly, which shows Alistair taking down Sir Snake.
Serpentius.
And
he mostly does that because he destroyed the hotel and
that wasn't reckless though.
Alistair just did
reckless would have been like
he would have killed him, not destroyed the entire ship. Reckless would have been like destroying the hotel as well as destroying.
Yeah, Reckless would have been endangering everyone there. Alistair was extremely focused and precise in what he did. That's not bipolar at all.
True, but he also drained he drained himself of his energy just to do that one thing. Because
he didn't even drain himself.
No, he did not.
If you look at his eyes didn't have bags under when he started, and went like after he ended, they had visible bags under his eyes when you look at it. They can also have racing thoughts, which shows a gif of the sigils appearing around him. Have pressured speech where they speak constantly at rapid fire pace. We hear this a lot. And make poor decisions with no regard for consequence, which we see him smacking Baggy.
90% of what they're trying to contribute to bipolar disorder is literally just the societal norm of the 1920s.
That is true.
Again, this guy's showing more symptoms of severe ADHD than bipolar disorder. The lack of focus, the hyperactivity, the bouncing all over the place, the getting extremely bored very easily. That's all ADHD.
The constant need to move, the way that he moves, expresses his own body, is like he can't stay still.
It's very extreme.
Yeah, that's like a pure form of ADHD.
He acts like a toddler, basically. He acts like a kid that you given too much candy.
Yeah,
ADHD.
Yeah, that's okay, what pretty much people with ADHD have. They act like a hyperactive child, and
I'm being called out.
I think
you have ADD.
There is
No, I have ADHD. What the fuck do you mean?
Oh, I have ADD. That's right.
I have like
sorry.
Questions. If Vivzy Pop ever watches this, I want to know about his shadow. What's the deal with his shadow? Is it like his ADHD? Like
the shadow is a part of him as long as well as his staff. So if you hurt either one of those, you're hurting him.
Yeah, but like his shadow, is that like his true demon form? Because it's like its antlers are taller. It has a bigger smile than him. Its shoulder blades are even bigger than him. And I'm like...
It basically just looks like a reference to the Princess and the Frog, because when you look at the shadows in the Princess and the Frog, they look exactly the same.
No, there's
but I think
there's a massive difference between the two. If you have a look...
Plus, Viv has been very open about the fact that she does not take inspiration from Disney.
Yeah. This was like, I'm just like, when I first saw that, like, his shadow has, like, a will of its own, and there are slight differences between them. Like, its smile, it's bigger, its shoulders are slightly bigger.
That actually leads into... It actually leads into, like, what I theorize about Alastor even being involved to begin with. Like, we all know Alastor basically became the warlord of hell and then just kind of started having fun. Quick question, though. What's the point of becoming a warlord if there is still a king? Second question. What's the easiest way to get to a king? Third question. If you knew where the king's daughter was...
Why wouldn't you take her out?
Why wouldn't you get as close as possible? Because using the daughter is going to be the easiest way to get to the king, which is going to be the easiest way to topple him and claim the throne. I theorize Alastor's only helping Charlie so that he can eventually throw her under the bus and take Lucifer's crown.
That would make sense.
That would make sense, but I have a feeling that Vox and Valentino also have that idea as well.
They probably do.
So it's like, Viv says that Vox will be in it because he and Alastor are natural rivals. So, and they're both pretty much like all the. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Video killed the radio star.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna pretty much call them what we call them over here, Overlord. We call them overlords over here. It's pretty much all the overlords are pretty much after the same basic thing. They want to overthrow Lucifer. What's the easiest way? Charlie. Charlie's the easiest way to overpower Lucifer. She's probably as powerful, maybe even more powerful than her father.
Well, to that, I say, and Al has said this himself, if he wanted to hurt her, he could have done it. And this isn't even like building trust. We all see that Charlie is super naive. And we see that unless Vaggie gets in...
The only problem with that is, from what we've seen of Charlie, she is naive. What about what we haven't seen of Charlie?
Well, that is true.
And that's a big point. No one in hell, because of how they treat her, no one in hell has seen what Charlie is actually capable of. Alastor being smart enough and strong enough to become an overlord over every territory, being strong enough to overthrow every other warlord, you think that man's just going to go in blindly on an unknown variable? No. He's going to get to know her. He's going to work in slowly. He's going to become friendly with her and see what she can actually do on his own terms.
That's...
By maybe, I don't know, throwing some tips out there to Sir Pentious and other potential overlords that Charlie's in a vulnerable position.
By attacking the hotel that she's hoping to...
And what better way to get an in and start a friendship than by stopping an attack when you first arrive? That's right, I also think that Al's responsible for Pentious attacking the hotel to begin with.
I don't think so. I think Pentious just did it because he can, and because, like, after extermination there was a heck lot more turf to grab.
No.
I think
Pentious is married to an overlord, right? He's married to Arachnus.
He is
if he's married to an overlord, Arachnus essentially works and has bowed to Alistair already. All it would take is Al saying, hey, I'll let you run your territory again completely free of anything I say if you send your little boy toy to do me a favor.
I thought that Sir Pentious is an overlord. Because they say King Ping overlord Sir Pentious. So he is an overlord.
Is he? I thought he was just married to one.
No, he is. He is an overlord.
The other thing that supports this is that if Al was responsible for sending him over, if he wasn't responsible for sending him over, then why did he let him live? He is fully capable of completely killing him, but he didn't.
I don't know. I think it's because like demons can't die.
See, from what I remember,
demons attacks. They can
no one saw what happened to Sir Pentious. He was just grabbed by a bunch of tentacles and then dragged underground.
Well, we see at the end that he is alive, and I think it will confirm that he is still alive.
Yeah, he is still technically alive, but I think what it is
is
that demons.
But my point is, they don't know that. All that Charlie or anyone else saw was the ship get torn apart, Pentious get crushed by tentacles, and dragged underground. Again, if I'm trying to trick the daughter of Lucifer so I can take his crown, I'm going to do every underhanded tactic that I've learned being a panhandler in Louisiana during the 1920s to manipulate my way into the situation.
Yeah, but it also could be the fact that...
Everything about Al is setting him up to be the perfect con man. Even the fact that he's the radio demon. Like, radio announcers were the perfect snake oil salesmen back then. Because if you were on the radio, everyone heard you. You were the voice of the nation.
Right, which leads us back to, what is it, Orson Welles. Everyone believes Orson Welles because he was on the radio.
Yeah. Alistair knows exactly how to manipulate people and manipulate a situation. I'm not putting it past him to have set everything in the pilot up, and I mean everything.
Well, he didn't set up the extermination. That is done yearly, and that's where my theory comes in about demons can only die by angelic weapons. They can't be killed by other demons' powers. That's my theory.
But here's the thing. We do, and there are hints that Al signals the start of an extermination, though, which may give him power in manipulating how everybody else reacts. Because he could start it late. He could start it early. I think he would start it late because, you know, more people get killed. That's what he's all about. I totally forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, I do believe he did set almost everything. And he's
even then, I don't think he's necessarily an agent of chaos. Like, I don't think he only wants to kill people and that's his only driving force. I think he just wants power and authority. Again, consider the fact maybe his mom is in hell. Maybe his mom's a prisoner or an actual damned soul and not just a demon in hell. The only way to free his mom, which this proclaimed mama's boy would obviously want and strive to do, would be, does anyone want to take a guess? How would he free his mom from hell?
Become the king of the hell.
Become the king of hell, yes. And we've already... How is he to become the king of hell? But Charlie, yeah. It all makes sense now.
It does make sense now. So should we end our podcast from here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Joshua and the Promised Land, there's not a whole lot to be said about that movie.
No,
we've said what needed to be said.
It traumatized.
Everything else was much better than a review of that movie.
Yeah. Alright.
I was traumatized.
Yeah, it's like Josh was at the point of traumatizing that he's actually going to change his name.
Yeah, I'm going to change it to John.
Well, that's our podcast highlights. I want to thank our listeners for listening to our podcast. And we do upload every 2 weeks. Might be late if we need to reschedule. Be sure to stay tuned for our next review, as well as our live streams. If you want up to date, hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell, and as would you like to wrap this up with your famous quotes that you always do at the end of every podcast.
Which is completely stupid, but we let you do it anyway.
I let him do it.
Hey! I don't come to where you work and throw rocks at you while you're picking fleas out of the monkey hair! I don't know why I made you a monkey groomer scenario, but you're a fucking monkey groomer! Because that's the most insulting profession I could think of on the spot. Anyways, thanks for listening. And as always, we're watching you sin. Boom! Quick question, though. What's the point of becoming a warlord if there is still a king? Second question. What's the easiest way to get to a king? Third question. If you knew where the king's daughter was,
why wouldn't you take her out?
Why wouldn't you get as close as possible? Because using the daughter is going to be the easiest way to get to the king, which is going to be the easiest way to topple him and claim the throne. I theorize Alistair's only helping Charlie so that he can eventually throw her under the bus and take Lucifer's crown.
That would make sense.
That would make sense, but I have a feeling that Vox and Valentino also have that idea as well.
They probably do.
So it's like, Viv says that Vox will be in it because he and Alistair are natural rivals. So, and they're both pretty much like all the. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Video killed the radio star.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna pretty much call them what we call them over here, Overlord. We call them overlords over here. There's pretty much all the overlords are pretty much after the same basic thing. They want to overthrow Lucifer. What's the easiest way? Charlie. Charlie's the easiest way to overpower Lucifer. She's probably as powerful, maybe even more powerful than her father.
Well, to that, I say, and Al has said this himself, if he wanted to hurt her, he could have done it. And this isn't even like building trust. We all see that Charlie is super naive. And we see that unless Vatican gets in.
The only problem with that is from what we've seen of Charlie, she is naive. What about what we haven't seen of Charlie?
Well, that is true.
And that's a big point. No one in hell, because of how they treat her, no one in hell has seen what Charlie is actually capable of. Alistair being smart enough and strong enough to become an overlord over every territory, being strong enough to overthrow every other warlord, you think that man's just going to go in blindly on an unknown variable? No. He's going to get to know her. He's going to work in slowly. He's going to become friendly with her and see what she can actually do on his own terms.
That's...
By maybe, I don't know, throwing some tips out there to Serpentius and other potential overlords that Charlie's in a vulnerable position.
By attacking the hotel that she's hoping to.
And what better way to get an in and start a friendship than by stopping an attack when you first arrive? That's right. I also think that Al's responsible for Pentious attacking the hotel to
Also
begin
think
with.
that.
I don't think so. I think Pentious just did it because he can, and because like after extermination there was a heck lot more turf to grab.
No.
I think
Well,
he just
Pentious
did it.
is married to an overlord, right? He's married
Right.
to Arachnus.
He is an
If he's
overlord.
married to an overlord, Arachnus essentially works and has bowed to Alistair already.
But
All
here's
it
the
would
thing.
take is Al saying, hey, I'll let you run your territory again, completely free of anything I say, if you send your little boy toy to do me a favor.
I thought
But
that
here's the other thing,
Serpentius
if
is
he
an
really-
overlord. Because
if
they
he
say
really
King Ping
wanted-
overlord Serpentius. So he is an overlord.
Is he?
But
I
here's
thought
the
he
other
was just
thing,
married to one.
No, he is.
If-
he is an overlord.
The other thing that supports this is that if Al was responsible for sending him over, if he wasn't responsible for sending him over, then why did he let him live? He is fully capable of completely killing him, but he didn't.
I don't know. I think it's because like demons can't die
See,
by
from what I remember,
demons' attacks. They can
no
only
one
die
saw what
by
happened to
angelic
Serpentius.
weapons.
He was just
Okay,
grabbed
it
by a bunch of
shows-
tentacles and then dragged underground.
Well, we see at the end that he is alive,
Yeah.
and I think it was confirmed that he is still alive.
Yeah, he is still technically alive, but I think what it is
Yeah,
is that demons
But
can't...
my point is, they don't know that. All that Charlie or anyone else saw was the ship get torn apart, Pentious get crushed by tentacles, and dragged underground. Again, if I'm trying to trick the daughter of Lucifer so I can take his crown, I'm going to do every underhanded tactic that I've learned being a panhandler in Louisiana during the 1920s to manipulate my way into the situation.
Yeah, but it also could be the fact that...
Everything about Al is setting him up to be the perfect con man. Even the fact that he's the radio demon. Like,
That is-
radio announcers were the perfect snake oil salesmen back then. Because if you were on the radio, everyone heard you. You were the voice of the nation.
Right, which leads us back to, what is it, Orson Welles. Everyone believes Orson Welles because he was on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alistair knows exactly how to manipulate people and manipulate a situation. I'm not putting it past him to have set everything in the pilot up. And I mean everything.
Well,
See,
he
listen, like-
didn't set up the extermination. That is done yearly, and that's where my
I
theory
know, but
comes
he-
in about demons can only die by angelic weapons. They can't be killed by other demons' powers. That's
Right,
my
just like
theory.
Respawn.
They,
But here's
yeah.
the thing, we do, and there are hints that Al signals the start of an extermination, though, which may give him power in manipulating how everybody else reacts. Because he could start it late, he could start it early. I think he would start it late because, you know, more people get killed. That's what he's all about. I totally forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, I do believe he did set almost everything. And he's
Even then,
capable of
I
doing
don't
so.
think he's
There's fan
necessarily. I don't think he's necessarily an agent of chaos. Like, I don't think he only wants to kill people and that's his only driving force. I think he just wants power and authority.
art. And the
Again,
only way to show that
consider
is
the fact
wrath.
maybe his mom is in hell. Maybe his mom's a prisoner or an actual damned soul and not just a demon in hell. The only way to free his mom, which this proclaimed mama's boy would obviously want and strive to do, would be, does anyone want to take a guess? How would he free his mom from hell?
Become
king
the
and change
king
him.
of the hell.
Become the king of hell, yes. And we've already, how is he to become the king of hell? Charlie, yeah. It all makes sense now.
It does make sense now. So should we end our podcast from here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Joshua in the Promised Land, there's not a whole lot to be said about that movie.
No,
Like, we've said what needed to be said.
It traumatized
Everything
me.
else was much better than a review of that movie.
Yeah. Alright.
I was traumatized.
Yeah, it's like Josh was at the point of traumatizing that he's actually going to change his name.
Yeah, I'm going to change it to John.
Well, that's our podcast highlights. Want to thank our listeners for listening to our podcast. And we do upload every 2 weeks. Might be late if we need to reschedule. Be sure to stay tuned for our next review, as well as our live streams. If you want up to date, hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell, and as would you like to wrap this up with your famous quotes that you always do at the end of every podcast.
Which is completely stupid, but we let you do it anyway.
I let him do it.
Hey! I don't come to where you work and throw rocks at you while you're picking fleas out of the monkey hair. I don't know why I made you a monkey groomer scenario, but you're a fucking monkey groomer. Because that's the most insulting profession I could think of on this with. Like, we all know Alistair basically became the spot. Anyways, thanks for listening. And as always, we're watching you sin. Boom!